starting to record this presentation is all about using LinkedIn and Instagram to attract more clients, what's working now in 2019, and what we see happening for the future. As always, this webinar is being recorded. You can expect to get the slides and the recording in your inbox in the next day or so. And if you have any questions that you want to be private just to me and Amanda, put them in the Q&A box. If you're fine with everyone seeing, go ahead and put them in the chat. And while we're on the subject of webinars, we have a live office hours that I will be doing next month. So for all of you who just have kind of one-off random questions, like what's the best way to record video? Or how should I approach my compliance department if I want to talk to them about a new platform? Or, you know, can you look at this website for me, the homepage, and tell me what's the better call to action to use? Anything you can think of. I do these live AMAs, Ask Me Anythings, every so often, and this is your chance to just ask us whatever your burning marketing questions are. So you can go to 20over10.com and click Learn, or go straight to this link, this webinar's link, and register for this live office hours coming up. Additionally, I love to connect with all of you on LinkedIn especially. That's my favorite platform. I have recently gotten more active on Twitter because that's a great place to connect with other you know, journalists, media, voices in the industry. So that's a great place to connect with me there. But if you haven't already, please connect, and I'd love to chat with you in that community as well. So just to introduce myself, in case this is your first time joining us, these webinars we give every single month on a different educational topic. This is part of our mission here at 20 over 10 is educating advisors on best digital marketing best practices. If you're not familiar with 20 over 10, we are a website and digital marketing platform. So it's a tech tool, but we also offer services such as website design, help with social media setup, specifically for financial advisors. So this is just a snapshot of some of the over 100 different firms that use our services. So if you're considering making a switch, definitely check 20 over 10 out. All right, so let's dive right in. Enough of me getting through all that. Why did we choose LinkedIn and Instagram? We got that question in advance, totally understand. And so let me explain why those two platforms first. So number one thing to remember, on average, people spend 2 hours and 23 minutes a day on social media overall. We want to connect with people where they are. Interrupting somebody in the middle of their day at work is not the way to win them over and get them to consider working with your firm, right? So where you can do it in a way that makes them feel like they're choosing you is by inserting yourself into things that they find to be an area of leisure or downtime. And social media is that. People go there for an escape from their day. And so if you can have your name constantly in their feeds when they're going to take a break from what they're doing and you keep popping up, that is the difference between inbound and outbound marketing, right? In inbound marketing, people are coming to you for answers as an expert, as a guide, and in outbound marketing, you're pestering them to work with you, to buy your services, to transfer their money over, and it's a very salesy standpoint. In inbound marketing, when you do this the right way, people are actually asking you to help them, and that's a very, very different model. So LinkedIn specifically we chose because it's by far the platform that everyone should be on if they are an advisor. 100%, it's where most working professionals are. It's where people are already hanging out, and it is the best place typically to get really qualified leads. Twitter is great if you want to connect with other people in financial services, if you want to expand your network, if you want to connect with journalists, but most people that I've ever talked to do not get leads or clients from Twitter, right? Facebook can be really great if you're posting, you know, to groups, if you're working with retirees who are spending a lot of time there. But a lot more of the what I call working professional generation is spending less and less time on Facebook and moving to platforms like Instagram. And we want you to be ahead of the curve and to be where people are going, not where they're leaving, right? And there's already been a lot of talk about Facebook as well. So that's why we chose Instagram and LinkedIn to focus on today. So again, LinkedIn's the most successful platforms of everyone we've talked to, especially those who are focused on pre-retirees, business owners, entrepreneurs, working professionals. There are over 630 million professionals on LinkedIn, and a lot of them are these, upper level executives, professionals. It doesn't mean that you can just spam them with direct messages and immediately get a lead, but you can get your information in front of them, again, when they're going there to just scroll their feed as a break from their day. And people also expect on LinkedIn to see the kind of content a lot of you are going to post. The content on LinkedIn skews to be things like, how to make the most of your day, how to budget, how to deal with taxes. It's things that a lot of business owners and working professionals are interested in learning when they go to that platform. And it ties up very nicely with the kind of content that you all typically are going to be posted. It was also rated the top social media network for lead generation last year. Now with Instagram, we're going to completely flip the switch, right? So 64% of Instagram's 1 billion users are between 18 and 35. However, the age group of the users is significantly going up and up and up, right? So you can see now 10% of their users are 65 and older. Yet, as you saw, when we started this broadcast, only one person today out of the 480 of you that signed up said that they are on Instagram. So there's not a lot of advisors using it, but the numbers of older people getting closer to retirement or needing financial help are rising month after month of who's signing up. And again, the main reason is we typically find a lot of people in that age cohort, they want to go where their kids are going to post pictures of their grandkids, right? They want to stay up to date with that. So if you have a child who's in their 30s or 40s and they're now posting pictures of your grandkids on Instagram, they're going to say, well, go to Instagram to see it because I'm not posting it to Facebook, right? That is what is happening. So we want to put you ahead of the curve and get you in the right mindset to be successful on this platform when you are ready to use it. Additionally, you can see here over 42% of people on Instagram have a college degree, right? So these are, a very educated group, and it's going to keep rising. Even looking at the income split, 42% make $75,000 a year or more. Now that might not seem like a lot. They don't break it down into further cohorts. But the point is that this platform is only going to get more and more successful because of a few key reasons. Number one, it is completely visual. And what we know is that our brains just crave that visual information. And so that's a huge reason for Instagram's success. So let's talk about just a couple of the basics about each platform. The number one question we get asked is, for any of these platforms, should I be setting up personal or business pages? You always want to claim both, regardless of whatever you end up doing. Once you decide to be in a space, you want to have both. And there's a few reasons why. The first is that you don't want someone else who has another company name or one similar to yours to control what is said about you, right? So if you're Lighthouse Financial and there's 200 other Lighthouse Financials, you don't want people to be confused. You want to be one of the first people to claim that name. So always claim both. Additionally, once you have claimed it, you're going to have a URL, right? So it'll be like 20over10 or Instagram.com/20over10. That's a URL linking from Instagram back to 20over10's website. That's an external link. Every time you create an external link, you're helping to improve your search engine optimization overall. So setting up profiles on all of these pages is a great way to boost SEO. You do want to consider the limitations of posting on your scheduling app. So for instance, with Facebook, it is pretty much all of the scheduling apps, you can only post to a business page, not a personal page on Facebook. So you can't even, go in and schedule your post out for the month to a personal Facebook page. Instagram, because they were bought by Facebook and they're kind of changing up their technology, right now they have it so that it's very hard to use a scheduler that allows you to post to Instagram. So you really have to do that in a lot of cases, what we call natively. Go to Instagram on its own and post there. So consider that when you're thinking about setting up these pages. But ultimately, again, what I suggest is have both. So what you can see here, this is actually linking to the same content in both instances. So this is a video that I recorded talking about the words investors prefer when they're going to people's websites, how many people would prefer the word comprehensive versus holistic. So I recorded a video that has been uploaded to 20over10's page. Then I took some of the same content, but instead of posting the video, I posted a graph showing those words. And then I have it on my page, just some of the text, right? So it's the same content posted 2 different ways. I didn't just repost the video on that same page. Another thing that can really help with engagement is if 20 over 10, is my company, something can be posted there, and a couple days later, I can comment on it. Now, everyone who's following me, Samantha Russell, my personal page, will see that comment on the business page, and it helps boost the engagement of that brand's page as well. Okay, so that's the answer about setting up company versus personal pages, and there's going to be more tips about those 2 throughout. So first I want to start with these 8 tips that apply on any social media platform that you're using, with lots of examples. How do you build engagement? The most important rule, and the one that everyone breaks, and I see over and over again, is stop thinking that you can automate everything and expect to get leads, right? 78% of you have said you've never gotten a qualified lead from social media, and that's probably because for many of you, you've just have everything automated, right? You schedule things out, or your provider just posts things to your profile and you don't do anything. And while it might sound nice, it doesn't produce results. So you can schedule things in advance, but you need to be the one curating what you're scheduling. You need to put your own commentary on what you're scheduling. And then you need to log into these apps daily, weekly, and comment, share, and like on other people's posts as well if you expect to get engagement that leads to results. So my first tip when you talk about building engagement is always end your post with a question. And I say almost always because, there's like 5% of the time where you might be making an announcement or something and you don't need to. But if you're posting a link to a blog, if you're posting an article, a piece of advice, at the end, pose a question. Questions encourage comments, and comments is how you get more followers and more people in the algorithm that see your post. So here's an example from this company, The Financial Gym. On Instagram, you can see they just have this little this little image that they have, say 15% of gross income plus other savings goals. Now, if you click this little arrow, they have a couple different images. If you want to follow The Financial Gym on Instagram to give you some ideas, they have a great Instagram page. But you'll see that they have a couple of these big statements, and then they have this big long text over here where they talk about how you should do the 50, 30, 20% rule with budgeting. And then they, at the very end say, what is your favorite method, right? And then I think on this post alone, they had like 37 comments. And it really just encourages people to engage. With Instagram, LinkedIn, the more people comment on your post, the more the social media algorithm will see it as a great piece of content that other people should see. So if you post this, and only one person comments on it in 5 days, pretty much that post goes into the abyss and no one ever sees it again. But if you post this and your friend comments on it, and then a coworker comments on it, and then your boss comments on it, and then your neighbor comments on it, Instagram, LinkedIn, all the social media algorithms see it as we should keep that post up in the air, keep it, bouncing up there at the top of the feed because it's relevant, right? That's why when you'll see influencers like Gary Vee that everybody follows, it seems like he's always in your feed. It's because everybody's commenting and engaging with his post, which is keeping it up in your algorithm. So the more you can encourage the comments, the better. If you have a company page, ask all the employees or staff on your team to go comment on it, right? So if this is The Financial Gym is your advisory firm's business name, and this is your page, you can post something like this and then have an employee comment what their favorite method is, and then another employee. Those comments really can help get things started. Whenever we post a YouTube video here at 20 over 10, we will say to everybody on our staff, hey everyone, we posted a new video, go take a look and leave a comment if you can. Not everyone does it, and we're not forcing them to, but just reminding them weekly is a great way to, again, boost that engagement. Okay, tip number 2. Specifically ask for people to comment on the post in exchange for something else. So in this instance, you can see we have a graphic here showing the total number of visitors to a site going up, right? And we're saying that it can feel daunting to keep your website up to date in order to keep good traffic coming. But we have a guide, a checklist telling you how you can keep your site up to date weekly, monthly, and quarterly. Comment below if you want us to send it to you. So rather than just linking to it directly, we're saying leave a comment and tell us if you want it, right? Now, this is just a blog post. Someone could go to our blog and dig through our blog post and find it if they really wanted to, but most people won't. What they'll do is leave a comment, say, yes, send it my way. And now that person that comments on your post, they're not going to be the only one who sees it. Everybody in their network, their second degree connections their first degree connections, which are second degree connections of yours, are also going to see that comment. And you'll have a much better chance of getting in front of these people that you currently are not connected with in LinkedIn or Instagram, right? Do not do this for every post. I would say no more than once a week, but this is a great strategy to build comments. So again, you could just take a blog post. I have a blog post on the best 5 factors to consider to determine the best time to take Social Security. This is one of the most important decisions you'll make in your life before you retire. So, if you want my guide, comment below, right? That's a great way to kind of hook people. And then once they leave a comment, then you can send them the guide in a direct message. Also, do not forget to use hashtags and tag other people. This is another great way to build engagement. So you can see here, Jeannie Fisher, who I love, she has a great LinkedIn page. She's, hashtags HSA. She hashtags 401k lady, the more you know, retirement planning. If I am somebody who's a pre-retiree and I'm investigating retirement planning content on LinkedIn, I can click retirement planning. Same thing on Facebook or Instagram or any of these platforms. And when you click it, you're going to see all of the posts that come up with that hashtag. People really can go down rabbit holes looking at content this way, especially on Instagram. So use them. I just suggest don't use more than 2 or 3, or it starts to feel very overwhelming. So 2 or 3 would be the most. But then also tag people, right? So if you run a advisory practice and you have 4 advisors in your firm and you post something on the company page, you can tag the individual advisors in your post as well. So maybe your company page only has 10 followers, but your 5 advisors combined have over 2,000 followers. When you tag them, you have a much better chance of getting your company post in all these other feeds. And whenever you tag someone, typically they'll go ahead and like your post, sometimes even comment on it. So again, it gives you a better chance to get a boost. I can't see any of the questions or anything coming in, so I just want to take 1 second and look and see what kind of questions that we're getting asked. So, okay, people talking about employees sharing content. Do they do the same thing as employee comments? So people don't like it if they're following your company page and they're following 1 or 2 of the advisors at your firm, if all of a sudden they go to their LinkedIn or their Instagram feed and they see the original post from the company plus you resharing it and then this advisor resharing it, it's very redundant, right? So what I suggest is if you post an update to your LinkedIn page on Monday, have your employees, maybe one of your employee reshares it on Wednesday and then another employee comments on it on Friday, right? Space out the time that they're either resharing or commenting on it. So again, it just sort of bounces that piece of content, that post back up in the feed. Because if you all do it at once, it's just going to hit everybody's feeds all at the exact same time. So good questions. Keep them coming. Let's keep going through the tips. Okay, so another one, everything I'm showing you so far in all these examples, you'll notice has a really great image with it. And that's because images, infographics, graphs, anything like that really grab our attention. Our brains process imagery 60,000 times faster than text. So these type of images, we love them. Our brains love them. We crave them. And it makes information really digestible. So these types of posts actually get liked, commented, or shared on 3 times more than other posts. And it might feel like, well, how do I take, find a topic on Social Security or financial planning and turn it into something visual? You can do that in a number of ways, and I have examples throughout. But a great way to do it is infographics or images. You can find these in the news that you're reading, just make sure you give credit. So if you see a great graph in the Wall Street Journal, you can take that graph and, share it and just say via the Wall Street Journal. You can find infographics from other, content libraries. So this is an example from 20 over 10's latest product, Lead Pilot, which I'll share more about. This is an infographic there, right? So you don't have to link out to the original piece. You can just tag who the creator was if you want. But these get so much more engagement than just sharing a link. Every once in a while, you also want to what we call keep it real. So this is just sharing a personal photo, a story, a behind the scene post, something that shows the face behind either you, the company, the brand, whatever it is. So up here at the top, you can see this firm, Opulus, and they just have happy 33rd birthday to our fearless leader, right? And they tagged him. So this is their company page on Instagram, but they're giving a shout out to the financial advisor who's behind the company, and they have a nice picture of he and his wife. This has a lot more engagement on their page than other posts because people who are following your company know the faces behind the company, and those are typically the people that they want to see. This post that I did about setting up a really creative out of office message when you go on vacation, it is by far the most viral post I've ever done. It had 95,000 views on LinkedIn, and it got picked up by LinkedIn's news editor. And it was just a picture of me and my family and me talking about how when I go on vacation, because I so rarely do get to disconnect, I truly tell people in my out of office reply, not just I'm not able to connect to email, which is a lie because we can all connect to email all the time, but that I'm choosing to just spend time with my family and I'll get back to you when I get back, right? And it was just a very real kind of vulnerable, raw post, and people loved it. You might not be able to do something like that on your company page, but you could have a behind the scenes post or a meet the team post, right? So maybe you profile every single person on your team, staff member, assistant, paraplanner, and you do a little Q&A with them. You have pictures of them and you feature them on your posts. You could do a profile of your dog. You could do stories about the building that you work in. Anything that's just different and personal gets a lot of engagement. And then, when you post something like this, a lot of people that never comment who follow you will comment, right? It could be something as simple as, oh, what a cute picture of your family on vacation. So think outside the box here. At 20 over 10 over the summer, Amanda, she got all of our team members to send pictures of what they were doing on vacation, and we put them into the LinkedIn and Twitter and Instagram feeds, and it got some of the highest engagement all summer long. So think outside the box, but don't be afraid to share photos that are personal photos to get more engagement. You can also use humor wisely. So when you know your audience, you can make them laugh, right? So if you work with physicians who are always struggling to pay down debt, you could have something funny like this, not Beyonce maybe, but whatever you want to pick cultural reference wise, and have a little meme or a GIF, saying this is how I feel now that my last loan was paid off. Think outside the box. But again, these kinds of things get engagement and make people laugh. People love pictures of celebrities in memes, kids, funny like kid memes or GIFs, and pets. Those three get the highest engagement all of the time. So if you can use those three in your posts, you will get more engagement. One of the biggest mistakes I see people making all of the time is they'll write a really great piece of content. So let's say this was your blog post, 5 answers to what's your minimum. Maybe yours is 5 steps to consider before retiring. And then people just share it. They don't put any context above the post about why it's important, why someone should want to read it, what it says. So here are my suggestions. Do one of these things every single time you share a blog post. Either take a stat from the post, like did you know 63% of people are leaving money on the table when they retire? Or a quote. So in this one, I just pulled a quote right from this article about how do you answer your minimum AUM and repasted it here. Or just a statement, right? Or a paraphrase, but something that's going to tell someone why it's important to read this article. Just copying the link in is not enough. It's just another, imagine if I didn't put anything above here, right? You would just see this picture of this man's hands and 5 answers to what's your minimum. But when I put this context above it, where I have things like, how do you answer this question? Here's some ideas. I work with 200 individuals and families who have $100 million in assets with me. The smallest relationship is 300,000. The largest is 10 million. The average is 500,000. It gets people thinking like, oh, well, what are some other ideas, right? They get a taste of what's in your article. This is one of the things that I see I'm connected to so many advisors in my feed. Barely anyone does this. They just post the link to their blog, or they'll say, check out my latest blog post. Well, that doesn't tell me anything about why I should read it. So whether you're on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, you want to give them specific info from your article or a commentary on why you think it's appropriate. I call it the newspaper approach. A newspaper always has a headline and then like a little excerpt or something, like a second statement. It doesn't need to be a bunch of paragraphs. It could be just a quick statement, right? But do not forget this crucial step. And then the last tip is that native content is your friend. So this is a terrible still of me in the middle of a sentence, but whenever you are sharing an infographic, an image, a video, if you can upload that video or that content directly to the social media platform, you will please the algorithm, we call it, better. So, LinkedIn doesn't want you to get people to click something and go watch a video on YouTube. They want you to stay on LinkedIn. That helps them. So in order for that to happen, if you upload your video directly to LinkedIn rather than clicking, sharing a link to YouTube, they typically will prioritize that content and you will get a boost in how many people are seeing it. So keep that in mind. You always want to add it there. And this is another reason why you don't just need to always, if you have a great blog post, you don't need to always just link to your blog post. You can take some of the content and put it straight into LinkedIn or Instagram. Instagram specifically, you can't share links that are clickable on every post, and it's a way that they keep people on their platform, and they do a great job doing that. So we're going to talk about that here in just a second. So let's start with specific LinkedIn best practices. Number one, these are my 5 tips to creating a stellar profile, and this would apply for both personal and business. So you want a really great background image. Don't just upload a photo, but have a statement that leaves an impact. In this case, Dan Johnson has taken the confusion out of retirement planning. He also puts that as his line here. It's fine to say financial advisor at, the name of your company, but then up here, be more creative in how you describe what you help people do. The second thing is recently LinkedIn rolled out the opportunity that you can have media links directly in your work history. So you can see here under 20/10, I have a link to our webinar series. So if you go to my profile, you can click there and see all the webinars we've ever recorded, just like this one. And then I also have a link to our latest product, Lead Pilot. So somebody perusing my profile can easily see those things and click out to them. You can also, and you should, publish some of your blog posts directly to LinkedIn. So if someone's just perusing your profile, they're going to see specifically what you've shared in the past. So it'll give them an idea of your thought leadership. Even if it was something you published a year ago, when they come to your profile, it will be top of mind. So I always say follow the 60-40 rule. 60% of the time you should be liking, commenting, and sharing other people's information, content posts. 40% of the time your own. That's how you build reciprocity and get more engagement. And don't forget to use hashtags. Here's some ideas on how you can build connections. So any single time you meet someone, I go through my calendar at the end of every week, and anyone I had a meeting with, I connect with them on LinkedIn. You could also do this with people you've been emailing back and forth with. Any of your clients, you can request to connect with them on LinkedIn. These are all ways that you can build your network. And then let's say you have a estate planning attorney and he posts a great piece of content and you're connected with him and you see, some of people commenting on his posts. You don't have to just respond to him. You can respond to the other people that are leaving comments as well, right? So that's another great way to build the total number of followers and people looking at you on your profile page is engaging with what we call second degree connections. You can also join LinkedIn groups. So there's tons of groups out there for all kinds of niche groups of people. Join them. Don't start selling your services in them, but contribute to the conversation, and people will start to be curious about who you are. And then finally, anytime anyone likes or comments on any of your posts, my strategy is at the end of every day, I just go through and I click to see who liked or commented something, and I reach out to connect with every single one of them, just saying, hey, so glad you liked or commented on my recent post, wanted to send you a connection request. And 9 times out of 10, people will say yes. Another tip for how to find new people is, a lot of people don't know this actually. So if you go to your profile page, you can see who's viewed your profile. So you can see here, this is the last 90 days. So in the last 90 days, 1,754 people had viewed my profile. I can click on that and it will open up here, right? So it will show me, are my profile views going up or down since the last week? And then I can click on any of these people and send them a connection request. So people that would be a good connection for me are financial advisors, because that's who our company works with. So I can go in and send Joseph a connection request, or Derek here, or Doug, right? I can click on their names and send them a request because they were looking at my profile before I ever reached out to them, right? So this is a really great way to also build connections. You can also get contacts on your leads through LinkedIn. I don't know if everybody realizes this, but if you go to any single person's profile page, there's this contact info button right here. You can click that and you can get someone's email, their name, anything. So again, I know compliance rules vary from firm to firm, but it may be possible that you could get someone's email address and shoot them a one-off email saying, hey, Amanda, I love it that every single time that I post about Social Security, you ask great questions, and you are leaving thoughtful responses or liking my comments. If you ever wanted to have a conversation about the best time to take Social Security as you prepare for retirement, here's a link to book on my calendar. I wouldn't do this the first time that they comment or like your post, but this is something that is, happens all the time for me personally. I will like or comment or engage with people, and after like 10 different times, they'll reach out to me and say, hey, you post really great, valuable content. I actually need help with marketing. Can we schedule a time to talk? That happens to me daily. So sometimes you won't even need to be the person reaching out to them. If you provide valuable information, they will flip that switch and be the one to reach out to you. Okay, so I'm going to leave this LinkedIn content checklist up and look at some questions. These are just best practices overall, and I put this quick slide in there so that you could check it out. But let me look at some of the questions that people are asking. So I think we got a lot of these questions answered. The hashtag rule about how many to use. Doug is saying he's not sure he agrees with 3. That's a good point. So the reason I always say 2 to 3 is I heard that from the source. So somebody who works on LinkedIn's algorithm gave an interview on a podcast that I listened to, and he said he would suggest, so he didn't say like the algorithm prefers outright, but he said, if it were me, I wouldn't use more than 2 to 3. So I'm taking that information from that person and relaying it to all of you. In terms of like what kinds of hashtags to use, this is what I always suggest. Come in here and you can type in something, like, okay, financial advisor, financial services, budgeting. You can see how many people are what we call following. I can't talk and type at the same time. So let's say retirement, right? You type in retirement, you can see there's 4,000 people following that hashtag. Now, you don't have to be following it to click on it, but that'll give you a good guideline for how popular a hashtag is. It doesn't have to be incredibly popular for it to give you leads though, right? So we always know that sometimes the least popular ones, you have the best chance of ranking for, right? So if you want one of your posts to be something that more people are finding who you don't already know, using a little bit more of an obscure hashtag can work to your benefit. And this goes again on both Instagram and LinkedIn. Okay, so that's a good way to check them out. And when you type in 1, you can see a ton that come up for similar results, right? So you can click on all of these and start seeing, you know, and then you can also click on them and see what other people are posting. So if we just search retirement living, we can kind of see other posts that, you know, are coming up that people are posting on in that topic. All right. So before we move on to Instagram, let me just go through a couple other questions that people have asked. Somebody asked, can we run through a example of our process? If you publish an article and publish on your blog, then what? Okay, yeah, that's a great question. So let's say we have a blog that we publish at 20 over 10, right? So here's one, do's and don'ts of embedding video on your advisor website, right? So right out of the gate, what I would do is make a quick chart and say, over the next week, we want to promote this article X number of times. So maybe it's 3 times. So first I'm going to say, on LinkedIn, we're going to post it. And this is where having a scheduling tool is really crucial. And we'll talk about scheduling tools here in a second. But so you would take this link and add it to your scheduling tool, maybe the first time. And above it, when you put in like the commentary of what you would say, you could take something like this. Do you incorporate video in your marketing strategy? If you don't, it's time to start now. You know, advisors who get 6 to 10 or 11 or more clients a year are likely to incorporate video. So we could use this as the hook that we put above the link, right? So that's going to appear here above the link to the post. So when somebody, before they click on it, they're going to read all of that copy, right? So that could be the first thing that you schedule. And the second thing you could schedule is, instead of a hard link, just copying and pasting, you could take this stat in this graph and upload that to your scheduler and say, okay, I'm going to share this, and I'm going to have another little piece of context about that, right? And then maybe on the third day, you say something like, let's see, if we say do's and don'ts of embedding this on your advisor website, you can see they're numbered, 1, 2, 3, 4. Maybe we say something like, number 2 is something we see people forgetting all the time, right? And so now people will be like, oh, well, what's number 2? I want to click on that. So you're taking that blog post, and instead of just linking to it, you're pulling pieces of information out of it, and that's what you're using to compel people to click on it as you schedule it out. On Instagram, you would want to use something highly visual, but if you don't have anything visual in your post already, what you want to do is just create something quick, right? So you can see here, less than 10% of all clicks are on Google Ads. These are all images you can create using a tool called Canva. So Canva is a really easy tool to use. I'll just pull it up so you guys can see it. Canva.com. And you can go there. They have tens of thousands of templates. Oh, all of our designs are coming up. That you can click on, and they'll say for Instagram, for this, for that. That's a great place to just make a few, and you can turn them into lots of different things, right? So if we go back to that example of the financial gym, you can see, you know, they have these really simple graphics that they've made using probably a tool like Canva, I don't know for sure, that look really great in their feed, right? So that's a great way to do it. Okay. I'm going to move on to Instagram, since I know we're trucking through the time here, but keep the questions coming. You guys have lots of really great questions. Okay. So Instagram best practices. Number 1, as I just mentioned, create a great profile. If your brand colors are green and white and black, then your overall like post should be that green, white, and black. If yours are gold and gray and black, then use that in yours. So you want that color scheme to match and stick with it through all of your posts. You also just want to remember it's highly, highly visual, right? So you want to communicate using great imagery and visuals. You can still have your captions that say a lot of, you know, great information, but you're not able to link directly from Instagram. So what you need to use is something called a link tree. So I'm just going to show you what that looks like really quick. So if we go back to here, when I clicked on this page here, Linktree, you'll see that they have Investing 101, what are investment markets, the Financial Gym store. They have all these different things. So depending on which of these posts that I'm reading, so right now if I click Investing 101, it tells me the name of the post, and then it says, check out the link in our bio for a crash course. So this Investing 101 is the link that you would click to learn more about that post, right? So because you can't leave an actual link in the body of the copy here, you use what we call Linktree to link it. So Linktree is a third-party tool that you just set up, and then you add it here into your Instagram, and now you can schedule lots of different things. So you can have a link to your calendar, you can have a link to webinars, to different blog posts, to videos, whatever it is that you want from this Linktree. Okay. The second thing you'll notice a lot of people have in Instagram are what we call these highlights down here. So these little like bulleted circles are highlights. It's a really easy way if somebody's just finding your page for the first time, they might not scroll through all the way to the bottom and see some of your other posts. They're gonna just see what's at the top. So in order to highlight certain things, you can add them to the top here, right? So you can see on 20 over 10s, we have events, marketing team, and just because some of you might not be on Instagram, I will just show you what those look like quickly. So, you know, if we click, you know, accolades, here we go. So it's showing all these different, what we call stories that we've saved. So this is from when we won an award for our customer service at the Stevies. So there's a bunch of pictures all from that night. Then when we were named one of the top blogs for advisors to read. So sort of, it's like a highlight reel that you can add, right? So here under sites we love, we've got pictures of different sites we've built that we want to highlight. So yours could be some of your best blog posts. Maybe you're advising executives and you have a post that gets the most traffic to your site, like, can capital gains push me into a higher tax bracket? You could have like our top resources one and, you know, put all of them there. So this is a place where you can create a highlight reel for all of your top content right there in Instagram. Thank you all for bearing with me as I go back and forth between screens here. Anything can be made visual. So even just adding an image, like a stock photo image, and then putting the title on it or creating like a cool border using that tool Canva I mentioned can make something really stand out, right? So here's one, personal finance tips to help change your money mindset, 8 FAFSA must knows. Either of these things are fine. You don't need to be a graphic designer to just take an image and put a quick title over it, right? This is a very simple way. And yes, this is the most important for Instagram, but you can use this on all your other social platforms then. And as we saw before, when you create these kinds of images and graphs, you'll get better engagement. So this is a really great way to do something that it works for Instagram, but you can use it in a lot of different places. So that's easy. With Instagram, one of the things I get asked a lot is, you know, how do I find people? How do I use it to prospect? So here's 2 quick and easy ways. You can also search hashtags on Instagram. And with Instagram, there's not that 2 to 3 hashtag rule or guideline that I typically give about LinkedIn. You can hashtag to your heart's content. And what people will typically do is have their post and then comment on their post with a bunch of hashtags. So you can do that. But here, if I wanted to serve physicians, I could search the hashtag physician. Maybe I even search it Chicago physician, right? Something in my local area. And then I can click on these posts and start commenting on them. It doesn't mean that that person's going to become a customer overnight. But let's say this woman's name is Trish and she's a young doctor and she doesn't have a financial planner yet. And from Samantha Russell Wealth, I comment on there something like, you know, what, I don't know, depending on what she said, like great posts, right? She might be like, oh, well, what's this Russell Wealth? And she can go and look at my profile. It doesn't mean she's going to follow me. It doesn't mean she's going to reach out to schedule a meeting right away, but I'm on her radar now, right? And that's the whole point of social media, is getting on people's radar and staying in front of them. You can also look for specific, you know, groups that you might serve. So Mount Nittany Health is the local hospital here where I live. So if I'm an advisor targeting physicians and I want to go look at all of the posts that are relevant to the hospital, I can search that hashtag and now go look at all of those. You can even do it by location. So if you're serving people in Annapolis, Maryland, you can search on Instagram every piece of content that was published, you know, on people tagging Annapolis, and maybe you see community organizations, you see local businesses, and you comment on their posts. They're going to be a lot more likely to follow you as a fellow local business and start commenting on your posts, which then in the future means their followers can also see you. So again, it's just building this network of awareness. And engagement is really crucial on all of the platforms, but especially on Instagram. If your post does not get engagement right out of the bat, it pretty much falls away of the algorithm and people won't see it unless they go to your feed specifically. So make sure you reply back to every single comment. And then what I like to do is, let's say we post something and 20 people like it. I'll click those 20 people who liked it and just quickly go to all their profiles and like something that they recently posted, right? So I can just show you what I mean by that. Let's say here. So here's one of us talking about our company book club. And here's, you can see what I mean. So we have our post, and then below it is where we put all the hashtags. You know, I can go here and look at all the people who clicked it, and let's say Harding Wealth. Okay, that sounds like a financial advisor firm that I want to engage with. Oops, I clicked their story. I can click on their name here and be taken to their profile, and then I can go here and like this and maybe leave a comment, right? So now all of a sudden this person is like, oh, what's 20 over 10? Who are they? That's what I mean. You can go back and like and comment on other people. Or I might look and see like, oh, who else is following this company? Or who are they following? Other firms that would be similar in our network or our sphere, right? So if you find a physician, you can go look at all the other people they're connected with, and they're probably going to have coworkers or other people that would be a good prospect for you, and you can go through their follower list and see who they are engaging with. So use that to your benefit. All right, so while we have this Instagram content checklist up, I want to now go and take a minute and talk about tools that you can use to help you get all of this done. So before I do that, just a reminder, if you haven't already, this is my page here. It's just Samantha C. Russell. Amanda already put it in there, but please, please, please connect with me there. And then if you want to also follow 20 over 10's own page, it's, you know, different than what I post. We have some really great content there. It's just 20 over 10 directly. And then you can follow our Instagram page at Instagram/20 over 10. So make sure you follow along. This is also a great place to get great tips in real time from us, or ask us a quick question, things like that. Okay, so the first question that we get asked from people all the time is, in order to be active on social media, you have to have great content, and our team just does not have time to create this great content. So where can I find it? Well, here's some ideas. You can, if you're a 20 over 10 website user, you can use our content assist articles from the library that are all editable. You can use, if you're not a 20 over 10 customer, our latest product, which is called Lead Pilot, which has got a whole content library for you. You can use that. You can also curate from other, you know, news sources. So the Wall Street Journal, the New York Times, CNBC, you can add that to your rotation. So if you're only producing one original piece of content per month, but you want more to post on social media, you know, it's okay to pepper in other third-party sources. And then you could always hire a writer using one of these services. The reason I like to point out Content Assist and Lead Pilot is because they are customizable, editable content. So if you go into the 20 over 10 Content Assist library, or if you come in here into Lead Pilot, you will see on any of these pieces of content, once you select one, and there's a mix of lifestyle, which is what we know people like to see in their feeds, as well as, you know, what I call more personal finance pieces, like, you know, moving for work, how to get a tax deduction, whatever. You can edit every single piece. So you can completely change what the image is, you can change what the title says, and benefit, let's just say, business owners, right? So you can make these really hyper specific to your audience, and you can customize any of this. So it's a lot easier to write a piece of content when you're starting from an outline or a draft than starting from scratch. So certainly this is a great resource for you to pull from. This also has a social media scheduler in it. So we talked about earlier, you want to schedule everything out. So you can see here, if I clicked on scheduled, I can see all of the pieces I have scheduled to go out, what day and time, what platforms they're scheduled on. I can click on the piece and even see in my scheduler, if I go here, what the time and the date is. And when you're scheduling any one in particular piece of content, You also have the ability to dictate. Remember I talked about you want to have like a different little thing you say up for each one. So you can see you can customize what it says. So we'll pull something in here for you, but you can change that. So you don't have to leave what's there. So what it says on Instagram or LinkedIn or Facebook can all be different. So that's another great feature here. Each time you share any of these pieces of content additionally, just so you know, from Lead Pilot specifically, it's going to take you back to a landing page that captures people, gets them to stick around, and invites them to either visit your website or to fill out a form so that you could get their information. Because one of the struggles we see a lot of advisors have is that they'll produce a bunch of content, but then they don't know who's reading it, who's connecting with them. They can't capture the leads from it, right? So this is a way to do all of that. The other thing is that customization is just so key. And the reason I point this out is a lot of you get content from the same place. So this is an example. There was an article from a recent marketing company for advisors, and it was called The Economic Journey of Your Morning Coffee. And when it went live, if you Google that, 28,700 advisors have that same piece of content on their websites all at the exact same time, right? This does nothing for your SEO. It does nothing to differentiate you. If you have an article though, where you can add in your audience, you can add in, specifically your location, it makes a huge difference, right? So being able to customize and edit the content is how you're going to get engagement, which is in turn how you're going to get leads. This is really, really, really important. It's one of the biggest mistakes I see people making is just regurgitating something that's provided to them because it's easy, right? Remember back in the beginning with that little Yoda GIF, you want to take the time to customize it if you want to get results. Okay, so I don't have a ton of time left. If you are interested in our new Lead Pilot tool, we are not officially launching this till February. That's why we don't have ads, we don't have any promotions. But if you go to this page, leadpilot.io, which is clickable here, and Amanda will paste it, we've opened up an early access wave, and let me look and see what the date was there. I think it's November. Oh yeah, it says it right there. Till November 10th, if you use one of these codes, VIP monthly or VIP annually, you can get the entire tool for that price. So you can either go month to month and pay $100 a month, or you can sign up for a whole year and pay $600 for the entire year. And you're going to get all of that content. The social media scheduling tool, it includes email marketing. If there's people who are interested in sticking around, I can show you a couple other features of it. But it's all for that price. So you're grandfathered into that price for the entire first year. So you can try it out. And if you sign up, the way it works is you sign up, you enter in your billing info, create your account, but you're not charged for 7 days. So you can show it to your boss, look over the content with a colleague, make sure it's a good fit for you, have it approved by compliance. And then if it's a good fit, then you can start using it, and then you would be billed and get those rates. So if you're interested, definitely check it out there. And let's see, what other questions? So we have more questions coming in the question box. While we're waiting, I'll just show one other quick slide here. This is, again, our contact info, marketing@20over10.com. If you have a question and you want to email us to get an answer, that is the best way to do it. But let me dive into some of the other questions that people have. Okay. Oh, some people had questions about paid. So any kind of paid advertising on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on Instagram, what I always say is post what we call organically first. So don't just create a paid ad. Post something, a piece of content organically, then go back and look at what your highest performing posts are, and then you can boost something that's doing really well. Especially on Instagram, that's a really good way to do it, to make sure that you're choosing something that is highly engaging and organic. Somebody's asking about the difference between Lead Pilot and other platforms like Hootsuite. So the biggest difference is that with Lead Pilot, it's not just the scheduler. So, with Lead Pilot, you get the social scheduler, of course, but you get this entire library of content to pull from, because we know advisors have such a hard time. So you can see these are all infographics, for instance, that you can, pull from. Millennials and money, you know, traditional versus Roth IRA. So there's all of these infographics that are in here. There is what we call lifestyle content. You can filter the content by content types. So if you're focused on Henry's, if you're focused on business owners, you want articles on, excuse me, taxes, whatever, you can come in here and choose any piece of content you want and then edit it and then share it. You can also upload your own original content here as well. So if you already have a great piece of content and you want to share it, or you want to create a landing page for it, you can do that. You can also do emails from here. And then anytime anyone engages with any piece of your content that you share, they come in here as a lead if they fill out one of the calls to action. So under the dashboard, you can see some basic stats on, you know, who's opening your emails, when are they clicking, how many leads are you getting per piece. You can also filter by individual pieces of content to see what's performing really well. Or if you want to look at a snapshot, you can go to what's shared and see like, okay, how many people converted or became a lead, you know, gave me their contact information off that one particular piece of content. So this is an incredibly powerful tool. We built this to fill the need from so many advisors who are like, I'm using Hootsuite for social media scheduling, but then I'm trying to write my own content, but then I'm using MailChimp for email marketing, and they're cobbling it together and having a really hard time. And we said, we need to create a tool that puts it all in one place. So this isn't being released officially till February, like I said, but for our community of active followers who come to these webinars, we're offering this early access period. The main thing we don't have in yet are the 2 integrations. So we'll be launching in February, and we'll have an integration with Redtail and with Wealthbox and some other partners. That is not in here yet. And so for our early access adopters, you get that really great price. Okay. If you are a 20 over 10 website user, yes, you can use Lead Pilot, absolutely. And we'll be doing a special announcement to our 20 over 10 customers as well. But if you're not a 20 over 10 customer, right now would be the best time to get in at a reduced price. And then if you wanted to get a website and Lead Pilot, we will have a special offer for that with 50% off your basic website build if you do both. So it's a good time to join. Just one other thing I wanted to show, for so many of you, you know, you get a lead off of social media and maybe you have their email or their name, but you don't have anything else. Watch this. This is so cool. So you can come here to view, and then you click Profile Insights, and it's going to pull for you their name, where they work, where they live, how old they are, their job history. You're going to get so much more info that makes them a truly hot lead, if you will, that you can follow up on. And you'll also be able to go in to their history and see, you know, what they clicked on, what pieces of content they were reading. So you could say, hey, Samantha, you know, I see that tax planning as a small business owner is something you're really interested in. Thought you'd also like this piece of content, right? And send them more specific information. So again, that's Lead Pilot. We'll have a session if you go to here, early access now open, join a webinar. If you just want to get a whole 30-minute tutorial on what Lead Pilot is and, you know, the benefits of it and kind of a whole run through, this is the session to sign up for right here. And if you sign up for it and you can't make it, we'll still send you the recording. So that's a good one to sign up for to get more info. But again, this early access period and pricing ends on November 10th. So if you are interested, that is what I would suggest you do. Okay, a couple other questions. Somebody's asking about comments on posts and how you can control them. You can't control people commenting on your social media posts. So if somebody leaves something that's considered maybe a testimonial, like you're a great advisor to work with, I would talk with your compliance team before I would ever respond. You know, I wouldn't respond back being like, thank you so much, or a whole long-winded answer, because you don't ever want it to be viewed as that you're trying to dictate people leaving positive reviews. So it can be murky. So double check with your compliance officer about what they suggest if somebody leaves what could be construed as a testimonial. I'm not sure what this question means. Serena, if you're still on, is there any demo software or a PDF that we can help explain to compliance? If you're still on and you want to give clarification, I'd love to help answer that question. Do you need to get every post approved? Again, that's going to depend on your particular compliance officer. Some people use systems like Hearsay Social, where they ask you to upload everything in advance, and then your compliance department will review everything if you're with certain broker dealers before they allow you to post it. If you're an independent RIA, you won't need to do all that. You just want to keep records of what you do post. If you're using LeadPilot, another great thing is anything you deploy from LeadPilot in terms of the content that you schedule is all archived here. So it's an archiving solution for you as well. Now, if that being said, if you go and comment on somebody's post in Facebook, we're not archiving that, but we will archive anything that you deploy from LeadPilot. Is there any place we can get hashtags or intro text for posts? So again, I would just follow the tip that I gave, which is take the actual piece of content that you have, read through it, and then, you know, copy like some text, some quotes, some stats to use that as your intro. And then when you're thinking about hashtags, just think, you know, what is this about? So in this one, we're talking about advisor websites or advisor marketing and video. So the hashtag might be video marketing, hashtag financial advisors, right? You just think logically about what the keywords should be for that topic, and then use those as your hashtags. Oh, Serena, got it. Okay. Serena was saying any marketing material that helps explain what LeadPilot is to share with our compliance department. Yes, if you want to send an email to marketing@leadpilot.io, we can send you some information you can send to your compliance and talk to them, share with them how the compliance approval process works and the archiving works with that tool. Brandon Moss, hello. I don't know if you're still on. Good to see you on. He asked, and Brandon's awesome. He's a great fellow marketer. Is there any tips when you start replying to comments, looking at followers, not to get lost in the abyss of LinkedIn or Instagram? And this is really true. What I try to do is just set a timer, like really set a timer for myself if I'm doing it during the workday. Because it is work. It's building your business. It's building potential leads. It's building brand awareness. It's not just playing around on social media. But that being said, you can really get lost in it. So I like to set a timer. My calendar is usually pretty packed anyways. The other thing I'll do is I do it late at night, right? So if I have an hour from 11 to 12 p.m., I'll spend time kind of going through and digging through all the followers and questions at that time. That's another great time to do it. Okay, I did not realize we are so far over time here. So thank you all so much. If you're still on, drop in the comments really quickly what was the most beneficial thing that you learned today that maybe you didn't know, or just a creative idea that was shared. We'd love to hear it. Really helps us formulate future webinars. But thank you all so much for being here and being part of this community. We're all learning together. And if you start posting on LinkedIn or Instagram or anywhere else really, and you're connected with me, send me a link saying, check this out, go give it a like or comment, and I'd be happy to do that. I love seeing what people take the educational tips we give and put it into practice. It's my favorite thing in the world. So thank you all so much, and enjoy the rest of your week. Have a happy weekend, everyone.